Hey, buddy. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and let me regale you with the wild, hilarious, and slightly twisted tale of my life. You see, I've had quite the roller coaster ride, and I'm dying to share it with you. But shh, this stays between us, okay? My name is Ji Hyun, and my life has been a series of unfortunate events, followed by a fantastic comeback. Oh, and did I mention a healthy dose of well-deserved revenge? From growing up dirt poor to rubbing shoulders with Seoul's elite, I've seen it all. And trust me, it's a riot. Throughout my journey, I've faced humiliation and heartache, but I've also discovered that nothing is more satisfying than delivering a witty comeback to those who underestimated you. So, if you're ready to dive into a world of snarky retorts and delicious payback, buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. Join me as we navigate the treacherous waters of high society in South Korea, where I transform from a struggling girl to a master of revenge. We'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll learn that nothing is more entertaining than watching the rich and powerful get a taste of their own medicine. Get comfy and prepare yourself for a whirlwind adventure through the glamorous and often absurd world of the wealthy, as I share my story of going from rags to revenge and having a blast along the way. So it all began during my childhood when my mom and I were at the grocery store, just minding our own business. You know how it is, right? Trying to stretch every cent to make ends meet and hoping to find something decent for dinner that night. Well, there we were when suddenly a rich, snooty woman, who seemed to have stepped straight out of one of those TV dramas, approached us. She looked my mom up and down, her nose scrunched in disdain, and then proceeded to pick up one of our non-organic food items. With a scoff, she said, "You really should be buying organic, high-quality products for your family, regardless of the cost. Don't you care about your child's health?" She eyed me like I was some unfortunate, malnourished creature, and I felt my cheeks burn with embarrassment. My mom, bless her heart, tried her best to stand up to this woman. "We're doing the best with what we have," she said firmly, trying to shield me from the woman's harsh gaze. The rich woman simply rolled her eyes and sauntered away, leaving us standing there feeling small and defeated. The thing is, that wasn't the last time I'd be humiliated like that. No, far from it. Little did I know that growing up poor would provide a seemingly endless supply of opportunities for people to belittle me. But, as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and a heck of a lot more cunning. Let me tell you about my school days. Those were something else, I tell you. Kids can be cruel, and when you're the girl with the oldest iPhone and worn-out clothes, well, you might as well be a walking target for ridicule. I remember sitting in the school cafeteria trying to enjoy my lunch when a group of kids would saunter up to me. "Hey, Ji-hyun, is that an iPhone 6? I didn't know they still made those. Did you get it from a museum?" They'd laugh, tossing their shiny latest model phones in the air. And don't even get me started on the clothes. I wore the same ratty outfits day in and day out, and I could feel their eyes on me, snickering behind my back. "Hey, Ji-hyun, do you need help finding a thrift store? I know a great one," one girl said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Another time, someone slipped a coupon for a discount clothing store into my locker, adding a note that said, "You really need this." I tried my best to shrug it off, to not let their words get to me. I knew we didn't have the money for new clothes or fancy gadgets, but that didn't make the humiliation sting any less. What those kids didn't know was that their constant teasing was only fueling a fire inside me, a burning desire to rise above it all and prove them wrong. And you better believe I was going to do just that. So, after I graduated from high school, I got a job as a waitress to make ends meet. I thought I had left all that mockery behind me, but boy was I wrong. Working as a waitress came with its own set of challenges. There was one time when a famous influencer waltzed into the restaurant, acting like she owned the place. I did my best to provide her good service, but nothing seemed to please her. When the bill came, she refused to pay, claiming her meal was unsatisfactory. "You should be paying me for enduring this horrendous service," she scoffed. But that wasn't enough for her. She pulled out her phone and took a selfie with me in the background, posting it on social media with a nasty caption about my poor service. My face went viral, and the online ridicule was relentless. I couldn't help but retort, "Maybe you should stick to taking pictures of your food instead of complaining about it." B. Another night, a group of wealthy customers came in, and I overheard one of them making snide remarks about my appearance. "I can't believe she's ordering such expensive food," he sneered. "She looks homeless. How can she even afford it?" I put a sweet smile on and replied, "I work hard to afford what I want, unlike some people who rely on their parents' money." C. The ridicule became so unbearable that one day I snapped. I lost my temper with a rude customer, and the manager ended up kicking me out of the restaurant. As I was being escorted out, the customer smugly said, "You really shouldn't be working in the service industry with that attitude." I shot back, "And you really shouldn't be eating out with manners like yours." D. With my hard-earned savings, I decided to treat myself to something nice for a change. I went to a designer store, ready to splurge on a beautiful outfit. But as soon as I stepped through the door, the snooty salesperson took one look at my shabby clothes and told me I didn't belong there. "We don't cater to people like you," she sneered. I replied coolly, "Well, it's a shame your store doesn't cater to people with money, no matter what they're wearing." I knew I had to change my appearance, so I studied fashion magazines and invested in a few key pieces. I practiced my speech and mannerisms, mimicking wealthy characters from movies and TV shows. One day, while out shopping for a dress, a saleswoman snidely remarked, "Are you sure you can afford that?" I smiled, knowing that soon she'd eat her words. I leveraged my waitressing connections to attend high society events. At a charity gala, I confidently introduced myself as a wealthy heiress. When asked about my family, I quipped, "We're old money, like the dinosaurs." As I navigated the complex web of social politics, I gathered information, preparing for my ultimate revenge. And with each step closer to my goal, I couldn't help but chuckle at how easily I'd fooled them all. One day, I got invited to a major event. The extravagant party was hosted by one of Seoul's most prominent billionaires. The guest list included the who's who of high society, and the atmosphere was dripping with opulence. As I mingled with the elite, wearing the designer dress I'd saved up for, I couldn't help but feel a little out of place. But I was determined to make the most of it. I'd spent months studying the habits of the rich, learning their mannerisms, and perfecting my appearance to blend in. It was finally paying off. People began to believe that I was one of them. In a quiet corner of the party, I decided to showcase my cooking skills, a talent I'd never lost despite my new high society facade. Casually, I whipped up a gourmet meal, which caught the attention of the billionaire host himself. He couldn't believe his taste buds and approached me with a smirk. "Your cooking is absolutely divine," he exclaimed. "I must say I'm quite impressed." "Thank you," I replied, trying to keep my cool. I've always enjoyed cooking. It's one of my passions. "You've got the perfect blend of high society and down-to-earth charm," he mused. "Tell me, what's your secret?" "I believe in staying true to myself," I said with a subtle smile. As we continued to chat, the billionaire opened up about his spoiled daughter. "She's always been handed everything on a silver platter, but she lacks the drive and determination you possess." He sighed. "I've been searching for someone who could teach her some humility and the value of hard work." He then proposed an unusual idea. "How would you like to replace my daughter in our family events and social gatherings? Maybe seeing you excel in her place will make her realize the importance of perseverance and hard work." Intrigued and eager for more opportunities to expose the wealthy elite, I accepted his offer, not knowing what lay ahead. In my new life as the daughter of a billionaire, I faced a myriad of challenges, each one testing me in ways I'd never imagined. One of the most difficult aspects was the demand to wear demeaning outfits that clashed with my values and beliefs. I cringed as I put on a dress that left little to the imagination, feeling exposed and uncomfortable. But I reminded myself that this was part of the plan to infiltrate high society and ultimately expose their hypocrisy. B. Drama and conflict seemed to be the lifeblood of the high society circle. Gossip spread like wildfire, with everyone eager to tear each other down. I found myself caught in the middle of petty squabbles and rivalries, trying to navigate the treacherous waters without losing sight of my mission. C. Maintaining my new identity as a billionaire's daughter was a constant struggle. As the weeks went by, I found it increasingly difficult to remember all the lies I'd told and the stories I'd fabricated. At a lavish dinner party, I was introduced to a prominent businessman who seemed to have done his research on my family. "Ah, Ji-hyun, the rising star of Seoul's elite," he said, offering me a handshake. "Tell me, how did your father make his fortune? Wasn't it in the construction business?" My heart raced as I hesitated, trying to recall the story I'd concocted. He made some wise investments in the tech industry," I replied, hoping that he wouldn't probe any further. The businessman raised an eyebrow, his gaze narrowing. "That's odd," he remarked, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. "I was under the impression that your family's wealth came from the construction business. Perhaps I was mistaken?" The room seemed to grow hotter, and my palms were suddenly slick with sweat. I forced a laugh, trying to play it off as a simple misunderstanding. "Oh, you must be thinking of another family. It's easy to get confused with so many wealthy families around," I said with a strained smile. He nodded slowly, clearly not convinced, but thankfully dropped the subject. My heart pounded in my chest as I excused myself, stepping outside for a moment to collect my thoughts. That had been too close for comfort. As the days turned into weeks, I began to grow more confident in my role as a billionaire's daughter. I knew that it was time to exact my revenge on those who had wronged me in the past, and to expose the corrupt and entitled behaviors of the billionaires and high society members who surrounded me. I started by gathering information on their dirty little secrets, using my newfound power and influence to bring down their reputations. One by one, I took on the rich and entitled, acting as a champion for normal, hardworking people. At an extravagant gala, I confronted the woman who had humiliated my mother in the grocery store years ago. With a wicked smile, I said, "Do you remember belittling a woman for not buying organic, high-quality products? Well, that woman was my mother, and now the tables have turned." Her face paled as I revealed her own unethical business practices to the shocked crowd. The room buzzed with whispers, and people began to question her integrity. Next, I targeted the famous influencer who had shamed me on social media. During a live interview, I dropped the bombshell that she had lied about her charity work and had been embezzling funds. The fallout was immediate and devastating to her career. I continued my crusade against the entitled and corrupt, taking satisfaction in the way their worlds crumbled around them. My actions began to create a ripple effect in society as people started to value hard work and compassion over wealth and status. As I stood on the balcony of my luxurious penthouse, I realized that I had finally come into my own. I had learned that real power and happiness come from staying true to one's values and fighting for what's right. Although I had once hidden behind a fake identity, I now embraced my true self, a strong, determined woman who refused to be defined by her past or her wealth. I vowed to continue my mission, fighting for those who had been mistreated and downtrodden by the wealthy elite. As I looked out over the city, I knew that I was finally where I belonged, standing tall, a beacon of hope and justice for all.